Hey guys, it's Miss Jackson again with another set of notes for you. Distributing a negative number. A negative sign indicates the opposite of the number. So negative signs are just indicating the opposite. List the opposite of each of the terms below. So positive 8 would have an opposite of negative 8. Negative 5 has an opposite of 5. X has an opposite of negative x. But remember, x is the same thing as 1x. So negative x is the same thing as negative 1x, okay? Negative 3x's opposite would be 3x. And 1 has an opposite of negative 1. Negative 9x has an opposite of 9x. All right, distributing a negative. When you are distributing a negative number, you are multiplying each term within the parentheses by the negative number outside the parentheses. This results in finding the opposite of each term within the parentheses. So we are going to be multiplying by this negative to both terms inside the parentheses. So I have negative 3 times 2 plus negative 3 times 4x. All right, negative times a positive is a negative. Negative 3 times positive 4 is going to be negative 12x. Okay, and again, this first number inside the parentheses was positive and its opposite is a negative. This second number inside the parentheses was positive, so we are finding the opposite, which is negative. Okay. All right, let's practice distributing negative numbers. So we're distributing the negative 2 to g and the negative 2 to 5. When you distribute, negative 2 times g is just negative 2g. So my first term was positive. Now my first term is negative. My second term is positive. So my second term now is going to be negative. Okay, and negative 2 times positive 5 is negative 10. You can write this another way. You could say negative 2g minus 10. Okay, those are the same thing. All right, I have negative 2g times negative g, negative 2g times 5. My first term is negative, so now I'm going to find its opposite, which is positive. So negative times a negative is a positive. A negative times a positive is a negative. All right, and moving right along here to example number 3. We have 2 parentheses g minus 5. Again, my first term is positive, so now it'll be negative. My second term is negative, so now it will be positive. Negative 2 times g is negative 2g. Negative 2 times negative 5 is positive 10. If you did not realize that that was a negative 5, you would have had this right here. Please do not leave your math problems like this. Subtracting a negative is the same thing as adding a positive, okay? This is your good math grammar, okay? You always want to change that subtracting a negative to adding a positive. All right, number 4, we are going to change our first term to positive and our second term to positive. So I'm going to have 2g plus 10. Okay. Number 5, negative and a negative again. Because both terms are already positive, that means that when I'm multiplying by a negative, they're now going to be negative because they are opposites. For me, leaving it in addition is going to be so much easier, but it is whatever works best for you. My first term here inside my parentheses is negative. So when I get done distributing, it will now be positive. My second term was positive. So when I distribute, it will now be negative. And it could also be written 12a minus 6. All right, on number 7, our first term is positive, so it will now be negative. My second term is negative, so it will now be positive. I have negative 12a plus 6. Okay. First term is negative, so now it's positive. Second term is negative, so now it's positive 12a plus 6. What do you notice about questions 1 through 4? What do we notice about questions 1 through 4? When we multiply by the negative, it is changing the signs of the terms inside the parentheses. So G was positive, and it's the first term, now it's negative. 5 was positive, now it's negative. Negative, now it's positive. Positive, now it's negative. So when you distribute the negative, you are changing the signs of the terms inside the parentheses, okay? And that is going to take me just a second to write out here. Okay, when you distribute a negative, you are changing the signs of the terms inside the parentheses. As always, if you need a minute to finish writing that down, pause the video and hop back on when you're finished. What mistakes might be made when distributing a negative? First things first, with any distributive problem, is forgetting to distribute to all numbers. Okay, and then I feel like the second thing that's going to be the biggest mistake is paying attention to the signs of the term. So whether the term inside the parentheses was positive or whether it was negative, so you know to write the opposite. Okay. Simplify the expressions by distributing the negatives and then combining like terms. So on number 9, we are going to be distributing negative 5. Negative 5 to 2x and negative 5 to 9. 2x and 9 are both positive. That means when I get finished, both of my terms should be the opposite, which would be negative. So negative 5 times 2x is negative 10x, and negative 5 times 9 is going to be negative 45. And again, you can either write it as plus negative 45 or you could write it as minus 45. Okay. On number 10, my first term is positive, so it will now be negative. My second term is negative, so it will now be positive. All right, negative 2.5 times 4k is going to be negative 10k. Negative 2.5 times negative 2 is going to be positive 5. All right, number 11, multiplying negative 1/2 times 6 and negative 1/2 times 2. 6 and 2 are both positive. That means that in my answer, both of them need to be negative. So half of 6 is going to be negative 3t, and half of 2 is going to be -1. And again, you could either write this as plus -1, or you could say -3t minus 1. Okay, on number 12, we're going to be distributing the -10 to the -4, -10 to the -2j. Both terms inside the parentheses are negative, so when I get done distributing, they should both be positive. I have 40, and then I have 20j. All right, and on 13, I'm distributing to -p and +7. So my first term is already negative, so when I get finished, it should be positive. My second term is positive, so when I get finished, it should be negative. 3p plus -21 is the same thing as 3p minus 21. All right, and number 14, I'm going to be distributing to +60, -11. So I have -12d, +22. Okay. Number 15, use your knowledge of simplifying expressions to complete the problem below. Write an expression for the perimeter of a rectangle. Most important thing about rectangles is that they have two congruent sides. So 8 plus, not even 8, x plus 6 is the same over here, x plus 6. 3x minus 2 is the same as 3x minus 2 over here. So when I go to write this for an expression, I can say 2, because I have 2x plus 6 sides. And I have 3x minus 2 sides. Perimeter means add up all the sides. I'm going to add that in the middle. 2 times x is 2x. 2 times 6 is 12. 2 times 3x is going to be 6x. And 2 times -2 is going to be -4. And then I'm just going to combine like terms. I'm going to combine my x's. 6x and 2x is 8x. 12 minus 4 is 8. And that is the perimeter of the rectangle. Question number 16. Determine if the distance between points A and B of A to C, the whole thing, is 10x minus 5. All right, so I have 10x minus 5 is the whole thing. And then I know that this little section right here is going to be 2x plus 7. So I can take that out. And by take that out, I mean we'll subtract it. And then I can say I'm going to subtract 2x plus 7. What you need to understand here is that there is an imaginary number right here. I have one group of 2x minus 7. So in order to get rid of those parentheses, I need to distribute this whole negative to both of those numbers. So now I'm at 10x minus 5 minus 2x minus 7. Now I can combine my like terms and figure out the distance between A and B. 10x minus 2x is going to be 8x. -5 and -7 combined together is going to be -12. So the distance from A to B is going to be 8x minus 12. The expression below represents the area of a rectangle. What are the possible side lengths of the rectangle? Okay, so when we are working on this, we can factor out. Okay, so we can factor out because area is about multiplication. So if we divide, we can divide out some factors. So I would say we could divide out 6. 12x divided by 6 is going to be 2x. 6 divided by 6 is 1. Other factors we could factor out would be 3. So we could say 3. 12x divided by 3 is 4x. And 6 divided by 3 is 2. And then we could also factor out 2. 12x divided by 2 is going to be 6x, and 6 divided by 2 is 3. So those are 3 equivalent expressions to show the area of the rectangle. Okay, the expression below represents the area of a rectangle. What are the possible side lengths? And again, we can factor out, in this case, both of them are negative. So I would factor out a -8. -8x divided by -8 is just x. -24 divided by -8 is going to be +3. When you factor out the negative, it makes the parentheses look better because both terms inside the parentheses are positive. But you could absolutely factor out the factor out the positive and leave the negatives in there. Okay? And as always, let me know what questions you have, comments, concerns, and I will get back to you.